John Ulzheimer is known as one of our nation's most recognized credit experts. Having worked for 28 years in the credit industry, John has become one of the most prolific speakers about credit and the go-to authority on answers to credit-related questions. Credit Countdown with John Ulzheimer.
Hello, my name is John Ulzheimer. I'm a consumer credit expert with almost 30 years of experience in the credit industry. I've spent time at FICO, which is obviously the company behind the FICO credit scoring system. And I've also spent time at Equifax, which is one of the 3 generally recognized credit reporting agencies. Today we're going to talk about how to protect your children from identity theft. And as unfortunate as it is for us to have to discuss this, it is something we have to address. There are 2 at-risk populations in the United States for identity theft. And one of those is the elderly, and the other is very young people. And the reason young people are common targets of identity thieves, including, believe it or not, sometimes their parents, which is even sadder. But one of the reasons why children are often the target of identity thieves is because there's nothing negative on their credit reports, and they have pristine credit because they have no credit. So, trying to steal the identity of someone who's my age, who may have horrible credit, is useless for an identity thief, right? So an identity thief wants almost like a clean slate. And so the question today, is there a way to protect your children from identity theft? And B, what is that way? There's nothing you can do to prevent your kid from being a target of an identity thief. The fact that we have an identity is what makes us a target. So everybody is a target. But you can certainly reduce your kids and your own exposure to identity theft by doing a few pretty simple and inexpensive or free things. So let me explain to you how this all works. In order for ground zero for an identity thief is your credit report, because when they go out and apply for credit in your name, you got lenders pulling your credit reports, putting inquiries on there that are fraudulent. If they're able to open new accounts, the new accounts appear on your credit reports that are fraudulent. If you have defaults on your credit report of accounts that you never opened, then obviously that can cause problems. And so the issue really is having to do with the credit report. So to the extent that you can protect your credit report, you really can go a long way to preventing identity theft for a young child. So when you are born, you are not born with a credit report, meaning that just because you're born, it doesn't mean that Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion know anything about you. They don't know that you exist. They don't have a credit report kind of sitting there in their file systems just waiting for you to become old enough to apply for credit and then start populating that credit report. You don't have a credit report. And so what happens if someone defrauds your kid and applies for credit in their name, that actually creates a credit report for them in the credit bureau system, whichever credit bureau the lender tried to pull a report from. They create something called an inquiry-only credit report. So it's a credit report that has nothing on it other than the one inquiry from the lender who is trying to be defrauded by the identity thief. What that ends up doing is it actually creates a file for your kid. And the fact that there is now a file is what can be problematic, because now if that identity thief or other identity thieves apply for credit in your kid's name, well, all that stuff is going to end up going on that one report. You've got a kid who's a year old, 2 years old. They're 17, 18 years away from needing to even concern themselves with credit. So you don't want them to have a credit report created like that, all right? So here's what you're going to do. What you're going to do as the responsible parent is you're going to create their credit report for them in a valid environment. So what you're going to end up doing is you're going to contact the credit reporting agencies, and all 3 of the credit bureaus will allow you to do this. You're going to create a credit file in your kid's name. So you're probably thinking, why in the world would I do that, John? Didn't you just say that that is what causes the problem? So hear me out before you freak out on me. If you create a file in your kid's name, that's their file. It can't be created again when a fraudster applies for credit. You only have 1 credit report. You don't have 7 credit reports. You have a credit report. So what you want to do is you want to create a file using your kid's valid information, and it's almost like you're setting up a savings account for them so that somewhere down the road they can utilize it. You're creating a credit file for them that someday down the road, they're going to utilize because they're going to apply for credit legitimately. When you create this file, you are going to freeze it, right? So you're going to place what's called a security freeze or a credit freeze, which are free to do. President Trump signed a bill into law that, among other things, amended the Fair Credit Reporting Act and now mandates that credit freezes are free. So you create your kid's credit report, which basically takes up the place in the credit bureau systems, and now another one cannot be created by a fraudster, and then you're going to place a security freeze on that report. You're going to want to do this 3 times because you have to do it at each of the 3 credit reporting agencies. So you're going to create 3 credit reports and then freeze all 3 of those reports. What you've just done is you've basically just taken up the place in the credit bureau systems that was reserved for your kid. You did it in a valid environment, and then you froze it. And then when you froze it, any lender that tries to pull that credit report, and at this point in your kid's life, that would be due to some sort of a fraud, of course, because kids that are 5 are playing with Legos, not applying for credit cards. When that report is frozen, if a lender attempts to pull that report, they're going to run into the fact that the report is frozen, they won't be able to pull it, and obviously no credit will be issued in your kid's name. So this is the best you can do right now to help protect your kids from credit-related identity theft. Create a report form and then freeze it. You can do this independently at all 3 of the credit reporting agencies' websites, Equifax.com, Experian.com, TransUnion.com. So I hope this helps with some of your kind of fraud prevention planning for your young kids. If you have any questions about this process, please drop them in the comment section below and I'll do my best to get to them. Thanks a lot for watching and have a great rest of your day. We'll talk again soon.
For more videos and credit tips from John Ulzheimer, go to www.tradelinesupply.com.